Hello guys, this is Pavel Oskorov from Laravel Daily Team and Laravel Daily Video YouTube channel. I'm back here with you after a few weeks of break. I've been missing you and I've been missing from action, and now I will explain why. This video is not exactly about Laravel and not exactly about technical things, more about project management and how we deal with it. So basically last couple of weeks or a month we had a few difficult clients. Not difficult clients, difficult projects to deliver with tight deadlines and limited resources. So I had to do a lot of coding myself, which is untypical. Yeah, so that's why I didn't have much time to record videos or blog or tweet, stuff like that. And the reason is, so we thought within the team, so what went wrong? It's not exactly wrong, the project are almost delivered, but what could we do better to run the project smoother, so they would be on time, on budget, and everything would be good. So the case, I will explain one of the cases. I will rephrase it. Actually, I won't mention any clients, but I mean the usual typical situation which we ran into ourselves is you have a project with a deadline, for example, 2 months or 3 months. Well, let's take 2 months, right? And you plan everything according to like week by week. This week we do, so for example, database, then we do views, visual things, then API, then stuff like that. And I'm a big fan of agile, so agile sprints and all the MVP stuff. So deliver MVP as quickly as possible, the minimum product. For client to test, to see first visual results, and to give first feedback, and then iterate on functionality then week by week, or if you prefer every 2 weeks or something like that. We went that way, and so we delivered first MVP in a month or so, and then we iterated on the rest of the functionality while the client was informed and was testing and giving feedback. And then when we were kind of a week left before the actual deadline, it appeared that the client didn't actually test. He was just approving stuff like, okay, something is done, great guys, go on, move on, I'm with you, and you are good guys and you're doing well. So praising us basically, but in fact he wasn't actually testing. So he just logged into the system, so okay, there's something, and yeah, we're good. And when he started testing in the last week, then basically shit hit the fan. I think there is a saying like that. And it's always like that. That's the thing. The testing part, it doesn't matter which is testing. It's automated testing or developer testing manually or client testing manually. It all goes to the end of the project. So last weeks or even last days, people are testing, then a lot of bugs appear, then some refactoring needed, and then the deadlines are missed or go over budget or additional people needed, and everyone's in panic. So how to avoid it, basically? That's the ultimate question. So we were sitting in the office in our office with teammates, and we're thinking, what could we have done differently, and how to avoid testing at the last minute in the last week or last weeks. We came up with a pretty interesting solution. One of my colleagues, Modestas, suggested that if we communicate to the client that the testing should be done in phases, as we deliver in phases. For example, this week is for this functionality and this week for other functionality, and the same for clients. So this week is for testing this functionality, and that week is for testing and feedback on this functionality. Then we would avoid some refactorings. So if the bugs are noticed earlier, or it's not actually about bugs. It's mostly about inconsistencies in maybe some database structure. So, for example, do we need belongs to relationship, or is it many-to-many relationship? So, can we choose one option or two options? So stuff like that. Or what control should we use? Should it be chosen from dropdown, or should it be free text field? So you don't even think about it as a client. So for example, I do understand the client in this case. There is initial specification mockups and everything is pretty clear, but until you start actually using the system, you don't think about it that deep. So when you start then you think, oh wait, then it would be more logical to do it another way. And the thing is, the earlier you notice those things like fundamentals, fundamental inconsistencies or UX issues or even bugs, then a lot of refactoring might be avoided. Like if you noticed something only last week, so typical example, why isn't the project multi-language? That's the typical I had in the past with clients, like, oh, by the way, it should be multi-language, and that usually means refactoring of half of the system. So basically adding the database tables for languages, then managing translations, all of that stuff. Every text, every constant should be multi-language. So yeah, that's the typical situation, and similar examples. But basically, if the client notices something really significant only the last week, then we cannot actually help it. I'm not even talking about the budget, the scope, and do we even have to do it? Was it in the initial scope? Who pays? That's another question. I'm talking about deadline and meeting the deadline and avoiding stress for the team, for everyone basically. So the goal here is for client to be testing as early as possible and as often as possible. And how to convince the client to do that, how to force them, basically, what should be the arguments. And since I'm transitioning myself into project management role, I'm thinking about it quite a lot, how to do it more effectively, general communication with clients, project delivery, avoiding stress included. So my colleague Modestas came up with a great advice, which is if I communicate to the client that the earlier they test, the cheaper it is for them, because if they notice the bug in the early stages, then we avoid refactoring at the last minute, which could take like additional day or two or even a week, and then the project delivery goes quicker and therefore cheaper for them. So if you talk to the client with money, basically in their language, because they care about mostly about money and time. They don't care about code, about like restructuring databases, Laravel or anything like that. They care about money and time. So if you talk in their language, and that would be the argument that the earlier you test, the cheaper it is for you, then I guess it is much better. It would be much better. I will try that in next projects, I guess, in the future. But that could be a good argument what to tell the client and how to avoid those last minute trouble and panic and basically stress. And another thing, the final thing I want to leave you with is that it's not only about the client testing. Usual situation is your client is an owner of that project, so you deliver to a company or a person who are the owner, who basically pay you money. But you should think that the actual client, your actual customer, is your client's customer. So most of the systems are not for internal needs or even for internal needs for other people than the client. So for example, client is requesting a website, you build them a website, but the website is actually used by other people, by customers, by clients, by potential users, and their experience, it actually is what matters most. If the final user, the ultimate user experience is great, then your customer would probably earn money if the project itself makes sense and it's, well, good one and worth paying money. So your client would get either like likes, attention, visits, purchases, money, customers, and then everyone will be happy, and then your client will come back to you for version 2, for enhancements, and basically give you more money and more work. So to do that, you should think upfront about the experience of your client's clients. So your actual clients are not your clients, it's your client's clients. I know it sounds pretty ridiculous, but that's how I think. And you should involve them also, if it's possible, as early as possible. So within the alpha stage or even some draft version, you should, if it's possible, if you have the access, you should ask to use the system, ask that people to use the system to try it out. So actual people from the streets, their own internal staff, or anyone who would actually be using the system. And those people would notice a lot of things which are inconvenient, do not make sense. Maybe some registration thing is overcomplicated. And the earlier they start to use the system, the better. So my overall message here is to try to include your clients and your actual customers to test the system as early as possible. For that, you have to deliver the first version as early as possible. It might be buggy, it might lack 50% of functionality, but it should be online. And then your argument, how to convince the client to do that, is to talk in their language, argument with money. So the better testing they do, the cheaper it would be for them. And final thing is, I'm not talking about technical testing. So as developers, we do technical testing. So does the page load? Is the submission working? Maybe unit tests, maybe some automatical tests. So we basically test if it all works as we understand how it should work. But in real world, people would understand it differently, would maybe use it differently, will think not as developers but as, well, normal people. And their feedback might be radically different. So the earlier system gets out in the real world and gets tested, the less stress everyone has in the final stages, and then it's a better chance to get within the budget, within the time frame, and within the deadline, and everyone will be happy. So that's my message for today. I've had quite a few stressful weeks now, but it seems better now, and I will get back to shooting videos, blogging, vlogging, and giving more tips on Laravel and related topics on this channel, so please subscribe. If you want to help our team to grow, please visit our product, Laravel Admin Panel Generator, quickadminpanel.com. The link is here. So by purchasing it, you are helping that tool grow and also our team. So that could be a thanks to me for shooting these videos. And yeah, see you online. If you want to message me or find me on Twitter personally or email, and let's keep in touch, and let's make our web development world better day by day. See you guys.